All right. Hey there, folks. Welcome to the 12th episode of Charged Up. I'm Justin, your host, and with me is my co-host, Ben, or Iggy.
We are fucking spoiled.
Indeed, we are. This week we actually have no guest, so we're just going to spoil ourselves on, an hour or so of Comic-Con news. I know it's a little bit of a different type of episode, but we like to mix it up over here. So we're literally just going to kind of focus on the news this time, and kind of give our thoughts on it. I know, everyone out there has probably read all this stuff already, but it can be nice to hear some different opinions and things like that from people that kind of know what we're talking about on this stuff. So yeah, I'm just going to switch it over to the little news feed here for the video version, and we're just gonna hop right into it. We've got our first very small look at Pacific Rim 2. I think this actually kind of popped out right at the beginning of Comic-Con. It didn't really make big news or anything. But it's more of a little viral teaser almost. It basically says to join the Jaeger uprising, and it's all kind of cool. It's got the voice of GLaDOS in it. And then at the end it's just John Boyega in his Jaeger. And it pans out to show this big countryside. I don't know. It's really cool looking. It's not much, but I'll take whatever I can get for this movie, honestly, right now, because I'm super hyped for it.
I'm surprised it's even happening.
I know. The first one did really well overseas, to be fair, and I think that's a big reason why this was made. But I'm a little bit bummed that Guillermo del Toro isn't actually directing it. I feel like that's going to affect its visual quality a little bit.
Oh, definitely.
But it is being done by the Daredevil showrunner, and he's easily the best showrunner of the Netflix shows. So, I mean, there's that.
We can expect an obligatory hallway fight then.
Jaegers fighting in a giant hallway.
Or rather in a giant canyon. I would think that would be pretty cool, so actually.
Ooh, yeah. That would be the Jaeger version of a hallway fight. Just a big old canyon. But yeah, my theory for this movie, because they haven't really said much about the story or anything, but my theory for it is that it's not going to be just another Jaeger versus Kaiju battle, because that would get kind of old. And it might turn into something along those lines, because it is an uprising that's either robots versus evil robots, that kind of thing. But I think at the very least it's going to start, because this is quite a bit in the future of the first one. It's going to start with actual tournament battles, kind of like Rock'em Sock'em Robots style, where the Jaegers have been turned to sport, because obviously they built all of these in different countries to fight the kaiju, and now they're gone. So it's we already have all these giant mechs that we spent a bunch of money on. We should do something with them. And so all of these people that are piloting them have basically learned how to fight. And so they kind of represent their own countries, and fight in robot to robot combat. Because he was definitely in his by himself. I noticed that for sure. So these are newer models, or they're just for the sake of the trailer they didn't show his co-pilot. But yeah, I think it's basically going to be all of these countries kind of fighting each other, like a sport type thing all across the world. And then something happens and they have to team up the different countries to fight some bigger threat. But I just want to know what happens. And there's a viral site that was created, which I haven't actually looked at yet. It's called gojaeger.com. Looks like there's not much to it. It's just got a thing about join the Jaeger uprising. You can text a thing to a number to join it. February 2018. I didn't realize it was so soon. And then what is a Jaeger? Oh, that's just the trailer. Okay. So yeah, a nice little viral site, but I don't really know what it means yet. Yeah, not really information there. I just, like I said, I'm excited to have something, so I'll take it. But
yeah, I mean, I wish we saw more. I didn't know, actually, Guillermo del Toro wasn't directing this. I thought he was. Again, this is only a teaser trailer that we got, but I'm excited. I used to be worried about movies that came out in February, and because traditionally January and February were considered this movie sucks, so let's put it here because we know it's not going to hurt us overall. So I'm concerned that it's being moved there, but considering you had Deadpool there, and I think there was another movie in February. The Lego movie was there, obviously. I'm pretty sure it was, or Lego Batman. I think this one, thinking from this year. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily. I mean, granted, that's only two successes. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the death spot anymore. In fact, it might be at the best spot considering there's hardly any other competition in January and February. The competition usually starts till like mid-March now, that's probably the competition's probably gonna move to February. But I just hope it's good. I like John Boyega. Who doesn't love John Boyega? And it's. I just look secretly. I really hope, because Legendary owns this property, or I guess it's their franchise. Just end the movie with them going to a parallel universe to fight Godzilla and King Kong. That's all I really want. That's all I really, really want.
Yeah, I mean, there was a rumor early on that like this could be pulled into the universe, not the Universal, the Legendary Monster Universe. Yeah. But I doubt it's going to happen at this point because they're already building the Godzilla versus Kong. I don't see how they could just throw a Jaeger Mothra in there too, because it's already like it's such a good battle of just those two. You throw a third thing in there, and it's like suddenly it kind of offsets that battle. You know what I mean?
Right. And they're already teasing Mothra. We're not going to talk about it extensively, but they teased Mothra at San Diego Comic-Con this year. So, let's just say, as a person who grew up loving giant monsters and giant mechs, it's a good time to be a fan for the cinema. It's a good time.
Exactly. Yeah, I can't wait. And next on this list of trailers, sorry for the audio people this week, by the way. It's just a lot of like trailer talk, but we'll try to describe them pretty well. Anyway, we have the second trailer for the second Kingsman movie, which looks fantastic, just as fantastic as the first one did, except now there's like some really cool American characters. But yeah, this gives a little bit more idea of like what it's actually about, kind of. The first one was mostly just like a thematic, like visual trailer. This one shows a bit more of the cool action scenes they just kind of hinted at before. But also it gives a little bit better idea of like why they're dealing with the statesman, who Julianne Moore is, kind of. It's still not really that clear, but she seems like she's just kind of psycho and wants the Kingsman gone. So that's good enough plot for me, honestly. These movies are about the action more than anything. I find it a little bit weird that it kind of glosses over the Colin Firth angle, without getting into spoilers or anything. But I'm sure they'll explain it, in the movie or whatever. Like why he has has one eye and everything like that. But yeah, kind of weird just to see him like hanging out with him in the movie. We'll see how that goes, but it looks great, and all of the like ridiculous gadgets and stuff, and like the Pedro Pascal's like electric whip that he uses to just like rip someone in half is amazing. The comedy looks spot on. Like, this movie can't come soon enough, and luckily it's only like a few months away, so it'll be here soon enough. But yeah, what did you think from someone that doesn't know this series at all?
Yeah, I remember when the first movie came out, I was like, that looks cool, I'll go see it. Never saw it. But I just watched the second trailer literally about 5 minutes ago, and I thought, wow, that looks like a spectacle. And I'm sure I hate to say it, but I'll say to myself, yeah, I'll see the second one. Probably won't see it. Not that it doesn't look bad. It looks fun. It's just a matter of, oh yeah, that's a thing. It's just reminding. It doesn't stick out as much as I wanted to, despite when I look at like, oh yeah, that is a cool thing, and then I'll forget about it 5 minutes later. But it looks fun. Like, it looks like what James Bond should be in the 21st century.
Yeah, exactly.
But
if Pierce Brosnan was still doing it, it would be this.
Yeah. The only thing I know about the Kingsman is that I read the first issue of the comic book series that it's under, and Mark Hamill was an actual character in it, like himself, like obviously being written, and he dies. That's all I really know. I don't really know how. Like whenever I look at this, like this is the same thing, and it might well be, but I have no idea. But this looks insane, wacky, fun.
Yeah. And you got to see the first one. Like it was kind of like that for me. It was like, oh, that looks really fun. Like I'll probably see that. And then I think it had been out for a few weeks or something. My brother and I were at the film festival, I think, and we had like a break between films. It was a documentary film festival we talked about before, True False. And we had a break between films, so we literally like took the bus over near the movie theater, saw Kingsman, and then went back to the documentary film festival and finished out our day of films. But that was the best movie of the weekend, and it was a weekend of watching movies. Because it was such a pleasant surprise. It was like, we kind of had low expectations going in, thinking it would just be some cool, goofy action movie, and I was like, man, that was like not what I expected at all, and it was so good. So like the first one really kind of did come out of nowhere. You're right, but now it's like one of the most anticipated sequels of the year for people that know the original. So yeah, I'm super hyped for this, and I'm glad they're not showing too much. Like I still don't really know what it's about. I know the conflict, but not actually the plot or anything. And that's good. That's what a trailer should be. So you probably know just about as much as about the movie as I do, and you haven't seen the first one.
Yeah, maybe one of these charged up, we should do like a mini review on the first one if I see it before this one comes out.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to do a watch along, but I don't really know how that works as far as like copyright and stuff. We'll have to figure that out because other places do it.
Yeah, probably don't have the movie showing, I would imagine, but I guess we can figure out the details later.
Yeah, just have everyone sync it and then just not actually play it on the screen. That could work. But I don't know. I want you to actually like enjoy it, so maybe we don't want commentary over it. But we'll see.
No, I don't mind commentary. Can be hilarious.
That's true.
And entertaining in a movie.
Yeah,
I've done like 50 of them, so I would know.
True. We've done a few together.
Hashtag wink wink. Go to marvelcity.wordpress.com for all fun commentaries, including Spider-Man.
Wow, you got to enunciate better when you're promoting yourself.
I know.
I have no idea what you just said. But yeah, well, just let us know if you guys would be interested in a watch along, or maybe two in the future of random movies that we're excited about. That one just specifically because like the sequel's coming out, and a lot of people did miss the first one, so it could be fun to get people together and talk about it together.
And I'll do horrible British accents and alienate our entire fan base in Britain, or the United Kingdom rather.
I mean, everyone else does, so it can't be that bad.
Yeah, true, yeah.
But yeah, real quick, let's get through this real quick. The Marvel's Inhumans trailer. Yes, they released another one already. It's the specifically like Comic-Con like IMAX hype trailer, because it does this annoying thing where it like shows the image small and then zooms it in to be like, it's on IMAX, it's bigger, which is kind of annoying. But the trailer itself actually does look better. The movie still doesn't, or the show, I guess technically, still doesn't look great. But this at least like shows the cinematic qualities of it, and shows off like some of the effects and like the character designs and stuff a little bit better. Medusa's hair is awful. Like that is not a good effect. But it does have some really cool character designs, and like the costumes are somewhat impressive. And this kind of gives a little bit better idea of the scale. So I don't know. It's not a terrible trailer, but it still doesn't have me hyped for the show. I'm just impressed that it actually like looks better on here rather than just like straight garbage. So that's about all I can say.
It still looks bad. The whole it's an IMAX thing really annoyed me. Mm-hmm. This is I same thing with the first trailer, and with this one, I can't help but wonder, man, if only this was allowed to be an actual movie and not just a slightly bigger budget television series.
Yeah.
Like, that, especially looking at Thor Ragnarok, which we're going to talk about in a few moments, it's like, that's the treatment it deserves.
Yeah.
Not this.
But the first Thor played it really safe too. And like the
Right,
humans
but
would
the
not
first...
get that kind of budget that Thor Ragnarok is getting as basically the lead up to Infinity War.
Look at Asgard in the first Thor movie. That was majestic and grand, and we had never seen anything like that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know, that was huge. I'm not like, and then you look at Inhumans, it's like, oh, right, you have a room. It's like, and I know you're not well versed in comics and in Inhumans specifically, but Adelan is one of the hallmarks. It's one of the landmarks of the Marvel Universe, and it's always been a cool place. It's on the blue side of the moon. It has this very cool structure to it, and it's like when I look at this, it's like, man, if only you got the same. Like, they would have given it the same budget as the first Thor movie, and it could have, like, at least in wide shots, it would have looked amazing and had at least somewhat better on, you know, when they're inside palace buildings, and Black Bolt's costume wouldn't look like butt.
Yeah. Fair.
Like,
and Medusa's
it
hair
just
wouldn't
makes
look
you
like
wish.
trash.
Yeah, exactly. It would have looked natural.
Yeah.
Versus like a very, very dramatic wig. It just makes me sad that this is this is a result of the feud between Marvel Television and Marvel Studios, because they can't seem to want to work together, which is beyond stupid. So like this is the price we're paying. We could have gotten a cool Inhumans movie, because remember, there was an Inhumans movie announced, and then it was canceled for this. So just to remind you that I'm pretty sure it was a power move from Marvel Television. But that's all I have to say. I really don't want to speak about this show ever again.
Yeah. Real quick, at the fear of briefly becoming a gaming podcast, I've been playing through Final Fantasy IX, for obvious reasons, and I know that you're relatively familiar with the game. There's the part where like the leading lady cuts her hair, and it's a nice FMV looking scene, and the effects in that like PS1 game of like cutting off the hair and like seeing the individual strands kind of like fly away into the wind and everything, that looks better than Medusa's hair does in this modern day Marvel budget TV show. That's sad. But hair physics aside, I will say that I feel like the only reason this is going to IMAX is to have that compromise, because they did say it was going to be a movie. And so on the TV side of things, that douche that won't work with the movie side is probably trying to say, well, the TV department can do movies just as well as the Kevin Feige side. And so he's like, boom, put all this money into the IMAX budget and make something that looks like the Marvel movies, and failed miserably. But like, we are technically still getting an Inhumans movie. So there's that. And we're getting it sooner than Marvel was going to give it to us. So there's that. But the result is something that's not as good. Next is not a trailer, actually, but I'm going to let you take the reins on this, because it's the Spawn movie that you were so excited about, and I literally know nothing about.
Yeah, so apparently Todd McFarlane, the creator of Spawn, is directing the new Spawn movie, which is interesting. In case you don't know who Spawn is, he was created in 1992. You've probably seen, it scares me that, for our, generation, who Spawn is. You may not know details, but you've seen Spawn. He was a cultural mainstay in the early to mid 90s, and, somewhat relevant in the 2000s, but not nearly as relevant. And they've been trying to do a movie for almost at least 10 years at this point, a new movie, after the first one starring, I think Michael J. White was Spawn in the first movie, which, again, I don't think that movie is that bad. I think the CGI is crap, but I don't think it's that bad of a movie.
It was 1997.
But I find it interesting. It was 97, yeah. I find it interesting that it's Todd McFarlane who's doing it, who has no directing experience. Again, he's the creator of Spawn, so he's going to know visually what everything looks like, but I don't know about him behind the camera. Like, that's the interesting part. Like, I'll see it because I haven't really shared it on this podcast, but I love Spawn. I think Spawn is one of the most coolest designs of the early 90s, and the way Todd McFarlane would draw his overflowing cape and his mask, and oh my, Spawn is just so cool to me. Like, I own 20 volumes of his original run in trade paperback, the Image reprinted of like 7 years ago. So like I got all of McFarlane's and Greg Capullo's run, and I want to just see another Spawn movie, even if it turns out like I wouldn't be surprised if down like say a year from now, Todd McFarlane's not doing it, but he goes to a supervisor position, and somebody else who actually has directing experience takes over. I just want a new Spawn movie. That's all I want. That's all I really, really want. Because he's so cool, and I want all this younger generation to see how cool he was, and that he's not just edge for edge, but like he's an actual. Al Simmons is an actual cool character that's not just his costume looks cliche, but there's actual depth to his character, and his situation and his powers are very interesting, unlike any other type of character to this day. It's a shame that he's kind of not relevant anymore, because I feel like, considering he's a black superhero, I feel like he could be especially relevant in today's society, but he's not for some reason. I don't know. We'll see. I just hope that the costume looks cool, and they can, now with visual effects, now they can make the cape look ultra long, and even if it wouldn't make sense, it would still look cool. And that's the number one rule about Spawn: make him look cool, and that's it. But that's all I really have to say about it.
Yeah, I hope they use the really good effects from that show, The Cape.
Oh yeah, that was a thing from NBC. I remember that.
And it was awful. I just had to make that joke.
Yeah, I never saw it, but it was just like I couldn't help but. You're right. That that's what they use for Spawn.
Spawn.
For Spawn.
But no, I don't have anything to say about Spawn himself, because like I said, I don't know the character or anything really. Outside of it, I think he was a guest character in Soul Calibur 3 or something like that.
2 for the Xbox version.
Yeah, that was it. But see, I never played it. I was always Link. But man, this is a friggin' game podcast. Yeah, I will say that even if he does stay on as director, like, not to diminish the role of a director, because they do amazing work, and I could never be half of the, like, directing actors and type person that, the budget of budget directors is in Hollywood. But if he gets a good, like, director of cinematography, which is the person that does all of the shot composition and stuff like that, his job on set would basically be to make sure continuity is correct, which, again, the cinematographers can do that to an extent too, and to, like, work with the actors to make sure their motivations are correct and stuff, which is good for a creator of the movie, a creator of the character to do. He'd basically be the one, like, on set working with the characters and, like, getting the sets correct and, like, things like that, and working with the director of cinematography to be like, okay, let's make this look like this comic book panel. And then the director of cinematography would do what he says, essentially. So he doesn't necessarily know have to know how to be, like, good behind a camera or anything. He can. Like, a lot of really good directors are also really good cinematographers. I'm not, discounting that. I'm just saying he doesn't have to know that stuff.
Right.
Like Kevin Smith has said a lot of times when he goes and does the CW shows that, like, the cinematographers on that show, they know how the show is supposed to look. They know the flow of it, everything like that. He doesn't mess with that stuff. He just works with the actors to get good performances out of them. Right. He's like, those shows could run themselves. They don't need me. They just, use me to put my name into the trailers and, get the ratings up. He's like, I don't do anything, which he does. But it's that idea of, like, the director works with the actors, the cinematographer works with the camera. So, to an extent, I can understand why they chose him to be the director, and I could see him staying on. But aside from that, they do have, speaking of Kevin Smith, they do have that show, I think that's going to AMC, that's, like, characters from the Spawn universe. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, not really.
I forget what it was. It was in another thing that I found. It's like Sam and something, I think.
I know what you're talking about. They're detectives in the Spawn universe.
Yeah.
But I never really cared for them.
Yeah, that's a show that's being made. And, like, it is in the Spawn universe, but, they haven't confirmed anything outside of that, like, if it would actually have, like, a Spawn cameo, or if it would kind of be something where it's, like, they reference other Spawn characters or anything, or if it's basically just, like, hey, here's these characters that exist in this universe, they're going to do their own stuff. So, like, I think there is kind of an interest in the Spawn universe coming back. So this, this could be really cool.
Oh God, I hope so. If we're in for another Spawn revival, oh my God, I will be front and center, cheering my way for Spawn.
I'm curious for sure. Like, the character sounds interesting. I just never got into it. I never watched that original movie, even though I love Michael J. White.
Did you ever watch the HBO anime? You probably didn't, but I would recommend you. The movie's all right, but honestly, Zero, and this is anybody listening too, watch the HBO animated series for Spawn. It does look like a 90s Fox TV show, but it captures the essence of those early Spawn comics. I think, oh God, I can't remember his name. The guy who voiced David Anderson in Mass Effect. He's a well-known voice actor, and I'm forgetting his name right now. He's in Saints Row. I can't remember, but he voices Spawn, and it's such a great voice of Spawn. But if you don't want to watch the movie or read the comics, although I really recommend read the comics, even though the story is not that great, Todd McFarlane's a once upon a generation artist, and you should look at his pages and see where what art looked like in 1991. But if you just want a sort of, I don't even think the series only lasted one season. Watch the Spawn HBO miniseries. You can probably find it on YouTube or something. Or I would say buy it to support Todd McFarlane. But watch that, and you'll get a good idea of what Spawn is like and the character. Again, he looks simplistic, but then you start peeling the layers, and you'll find that Al Simmons is one of the most engaging characters created over the past 30 years.
Real quick, are you talking about Keith David?
Yes.
Because he does have a really good voice. Okay.
Yes, he voices Al Simmons / Spawn.
That's awesome.
So, and he's the perfect voice for Spawn.
He has one of the best voices in Hollywood.
Yeah. So if you're a Keith David fan and you haven't seen Spawn, go see Spawn, the animated series.
Cool. Let's move on. Another little quickie news bit. The third season of Young Justice was briefly discussed at Comic-Con, and it's called Young Justice Outsiders, and looks like it continues their trend of doing a time jump every season, which was really jarring for me between season 1 and 2 because I didn't know it was a time jump, and they left a lot of threads dangling, and I was like, oh wait, why are these all suddenly new characters? And they're not following the same events of what left in the first season. And I texted one of my friends who told me to get into the show, and he's like, just stick with it. So I was like, all right, I have no idea what's going on. But 3 or 4 episodes in, they, actually explain why the time jump happened. And it was actually really cool. So I'm curious to see what they do with it again this season. Because it's an interesting story mechanic. This is not a show really for kids. It's an adult, kids cartoon, which is weird. Because it has a lot of smart themes, and you have to kind of understand the serialized nature of it. But yeah, so anyway, besides all that, the roster is a little bit changed up again, which they also did in the second season. Some of the characters from the last season are back, such as Blue Beetle, Wonder Girl, Kid Flash, Beast Boy, and Arsenal. But they're joined by new characters, which, let me preface, Static Shock was technically in the last season, but he never was part of the official team and never called himself Static or anything. Now he's actually part of the main crew, has a really cool, Static Shock costume. So that's why I'm putting him here. But I was so hyped when he was in last season. Oh, I love Static. Anyway, joining the team is Static Shock. Oh yeah, Robin, I guess, was also in last season. Spoiler, who I don't know who that is. 13, Arrowette, which is a dumb name. And they said there might be a few others that, could come and go as well. But this is the main crew that's been announced. But yeah, who's Spoiler?
Is correct, because I haven't watched Young Justice. Okay.
I mean, she's a new character.
The first episode. No, who's the Robin? Is it Tim Drake?
I don't remember.
Or is it Dick Grayson?
Because season 1 had Dick Grayson. And then season 2 had a new Robin because Dick was Nightwing.
Okay, so in the comics, Spoiler is Stephanie Brown, who was basically Robin, Tim Drake's girlfriend, and she eventually becomes Batgirl. In fact, she's the current... No, Barbara Gordon's the current Batgirl, but Stephanie Brown is, spoiler, and she eventually becomes Batgirl, but that's who she is. That's her name.
Okay. Yeah, I actually see that down here. It says, one of the goals of the show is to portray the passage of time, so the characters will continue to change, grow up, and evolve. So Stephanie Brown has now become Spoiler, which I guess she was in it before. I don't remember her. And the little girl who Artemis saved in a Season 2 story was inspired to become a hero and is now Arrowette. As for who is 13, the team were less forthcoming, preferring to leave an air of mystery to the character for now. But it could possibly be Tracy 13. Do you know who that is?
Sounds familiar. Very obscure DC character, but I could be entirely wrong. It could be a code name for all I know.
Because like her costume on here is literally just like cargo pants and a hoodie. So like they really don't want us to know who she is. Like that's not distinct at all.
If I'm remembering correctly, because I've only read one book with her, and that her father is a character called Dr. 13, who's basically sort of one of the like as obscure as a DC character you can get. So that's who she could be, but it's been forever since I read the graphic novel she was in, so I couldn't tell you. That sounds like that's where they're pulling from.
Interesting. I don't know. I like this lineup though. It's pretty solid. I mean, of course, like I said, I love Static. Their Kid Flash, I think, is actually a different one from the last season. It looks like. But they had Impulse, who was voiced by Jason Marsden, I believe, and he did a really good job. It was either him or Will Friedle. I get them confused sometimes, like their voices. So this might be Impulse now as Kid Flash. I'm not sure. Wonder Girl, no one cares about. The new characters seem cool. I actually really liked. Like, I know you have your issues with the Mexican Blue Beetle. What's his name?
Jaime Reyes.
Yeah, Jaime Reyes. I kept thinking Robbie Reyes, and I was like, that's not right. Jaime Reyes, like, I actually really liked what they did with him last season.
No, I just don't like him because every writer turns him into the Mexican, and it's just like, well, that's all you're going to make him be. So it's like, I don't care about this character.
And they didn't really do that. Like, basically, I don't think you saw season 2, right? You said?
No, I was going to say, I have not. Season 1 made me stop because I hated Miss Martian because she was so annoying.
That's fair. She's not in season 2 as much, if that helps.
Right.
And real quick, she's the only one of, like, they show the old cast as well, like the ones that were the young ones in season 1, and she's the only one of them that's missing. So that's interesting. I wanted to say that real quick while we're on the topic. But yeah, they basically in season 2 they had like this team of, ironically, outsiders that were like being tested on in this facility, and like Static was in there, Jaime was in there, and a few others that I don't know who they are because like they were given names, but they never became like suited up superheroes or anything. And like Jaime basically like led them out of that facility. And like kind of got them to safety, and so he was basically like he was the community's hero, and they had the whole issue with like the different Beetles fighting each other, and like he had a lot of story to go through, and it never really devolved into his race. There's a little bit of family drama on his end, but again, it wasn't necessarily like race issues; it was more just like family issues. So he was a well developed character, and I really enjoyed him. I don't enjoy Arsenal though; I could do without him. He was basically a clone of Roy Harper, and was super emo the whole time, and kept flip flopping between good and bad. And I got
wait,
tired
he
of
wasn't actually Roy Harper? That's weird.
Roy Harper was Red Arrow.
Right. Well, in the comics, Roy Harper becomes Arsenal.
Right. There were two Roy Harpers, basically.
That's dumb.
It's strange.
They should have just made Roy Harper just turn him into Arsenal. That's it, and not have no clone.
They fit a lot of plot into the 2 seasons of this show. Beast Boy was Netflix, fine. Though. He didn't get that much to do, but he's part of the main team now, so maybe he will. They don't need another AR character, but new blood. I'm curious at least. She seems like the Artemis role now that Artemis is older. The main team then or the older team, I should say, like the mentors, are Artemis, Nightwing, Aqualad, and Superboy, which I feel like now that they're adults, they should probably have new names, but, whatever. And their costumes all look kind of generic, like covert ops, so I have this feeling they're just training, they're not like main cast, but yeah, I'm really curious. And it said that they actually have, like, plans for if the show goes past 3 seasons, so it's like they're bringing it back, like, with a force. So I'm really curious. But anyway, that's all there. Oh, sorry. It does say that they're planning to have 26 episodes for the next season total. And that's just kind of the start. So that's cool. And staying in the realm of animated adaptations, we've got the first look at the Big Hero 6 animated show, which apparently people are mad about. Like, they're like, why don't we just get a sequel movie, which we're still going to, last I knew. But what's wrong with having an in-canon continuation weekly of an amazing thing? Like, it looks great. And it has a lot of the cast back. Stan Lee is Fred's dad, which is great. Maya Rudolph as Aunt Cass. Jamie Chung as Go-Go. Scott Adsit as Baymax. Those are the only ones they list here, but I believe there's others too. I don't think TJ Miller came back, and I don't think Damon Wayans Jr. came back. But as far as I know, all the others are here. But yeah, there's a little kind of like a little scene that they showed off. That's basically just like an action scene in a tunnel against some old-timey villain called Baron von Steamer, which is pretty great. Who, if I'm not wrong, is voiced by... Wow, I started that sentence and forgot who I was thinking of. Alan Tudyk. Because he did a voice in the movie, and he said he's coming back for the show, but I don't think his character is coming back. So I have a feeling he's just going to voice random characters, because he's great, and he should voice in everything. But yeah, not much to see, but the animation style looks better than that stupid Spider-Man show that's also going to Disney XD. It's kind of got like an angular, like hand-drawn style to it that I kind of like. It's still a little simple, but at least it seems like it knows what it wants to be better than some of the other things that have been on Disney XD lately. And it's smooth animation, because it is an action show. So I don't know. I'll probably check it out, honestly, because I've got Disney XD on my Sling TV, and I loved Big Hero 6. But there's not really too much to say about it right now. Did you have anything?
I'm going to confess something. I have yet to see Big Hero 6, the movie.
Man, the truth just keeps coming out.
Yeah. Like
Let's add it to the list. It's one of those things where,
like, it's just like so many things are coming out, and I want to get to them, but I don't. And it's like, well, I'll wait till on Netflix. It never shows up on Netflix, and I see that Best Buy. I should buy that. Then I leave the store empty-handed. It's like things are happening, man. I don't know. I'm sure I'll like it when I watch it in 20 years.
Ugh. And yet you have time to play dumb visual novel games.
I don't. You know what? I don't need your shame. I don't need your judging this right now.
Why don't you just go get a Dream Daddy?
No, because I don't want to play a horribly made visual novel.
Oh, you'll just play a less horribly made visual novel?
No, well made.
I refuse to admit there are well-made visual novel games.
At least I'm not dating a pigeon. Moving on.
Whatever. The Defenders trailer was revealed. A new Defenders trailer, a Comic-Con trailer, that gives a little bit more about the show. Still not too much. It shows more kind of like comedy stuff in it, which is cool. And it shows a little bit more of them coming together. They also showed the first full episode of the show. And spoiler warning incoming. 3.
Please don't say it, because I haven't seen it.
Okay. I mean, it's not much.
I know, but I'd rather not. I honestly rather not know. I'll turn my headphones off. I'll unplug my headphones. I'll come back in, a minute?
No, literally like 5 seconds.
Okay, I'm going to take my
It's
headphones off.
a one-line thing. Okay.
I am gone.
Okay. By the end of the first episode, they have not met each other, which I find really interesting. So basically the whole first episode is set up.
Okay, are we good? We're good. Okay, good.
Yeah. So yeah, the show actually does look strong. Danny still looks like the weakest part of it, and it bums me out that Baku was back, or whatever his name is from Iron Fist, the friend of Colleen Wing. I hated his character, but yeah, Sigourney Weaver looks like she's going to kill this show, pun intended, and I'm curious about how Elektra is going to fit into it all. And I like that Daredevil actually has his costume. Like, they make fun of it, but he wears it. Because, like, in the last trailer, they just showed, like, everyone in their street clothes. And he's still the only one that has a costume. But at least he actually wears it. I assume, like, the stuff from that first trailer was probably, like, just a surprise attack. So, like, he wasn't, prepared for battle or whatever. And now it's like, oh, we're all suited up, so to speak, because no one else has a costume. But yeah, I was worried that it was all just going to be like street level fighting, like no costumes, nothing. But I like it. I think it has a lot of promise, as long as they don't lean too heavily into Iron Fist. And speaking of, quick little note. They announced the second season for Iron Fist. I'm not sure why, but it's coming.
Well, I mean, it was, despite its horrendously negative reviews, it was one of the most watched things on Netflix this year, so that could be a reason why, which is like, I mean, we have contributed to that, but there are people who like watched it, and it's just like, I think I remember reading a quote saying it was going to be more grounded. I was like, I don't know how you get more grounded than what you did in the last season, but okay, right. I won't be watching.
Like, the only reason I want another season is basically to not have, like, a season 2 of Luke Cage or Iron Fist, but have just, like, a new show that's, like, Luke Cage and Iron Fist.
You want Heroes for Hire. That's what you want.
Basically. Like, they don't need their own seasons. I felt like they actually ended pretty strong. They could either just have they could either have Danny in season 2 of Luke Cage, or they can just like kind of spin that off into a new show called Heroes for Hire. But giving each of them a second season means it's going to be about them and not each other. And I just don't care. Like, Jessica Jones, sure, give me more. Daredevil, please give me more. Luke Cage, I'll take more, but I'd rather have Danny put in that. Iron Fist, we don't need more. I'd love to see, like, again, a spin-off of just Colleen and Misty, which they hinted at that's going to be, they're going to have their own kind of cool team-up, and the Defenders. But, I don't know. I'd be fine, like, with the next season of Netflix shows being Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Heroes for Hire, and Punisher. That would be my lineup. But apparently it's not going to happen.
Even though I was extremely negative about Iron Fist, watching this trailer gave me chills. Iron Fist aside, like, it's still kind of, it's hitting me that these characters are coming together. I think a lot of what I liked about the show was seeing Elektra, and that she's basically going to be the weapon of mass destruction for the Hand. Like, I love Elektra, and you can tell she's clearly brainwashed. I want to know who Sigourney Weaver is playing, because they haven't confirmed any kind of Marvel character she's playing. I have an idea who I think she's playing, but I don't know.
They gave her a name.
What did they give her a name?
That's
I didn't
it.
hear her name.
Alexandra?
Yeah, well, that could be just something to throw off. But they haven't said, like, if she's playing a Marvel. She has to be playing. She's not playing something original. They wouldn't. I don't think they would do that. That'd be dumb. But either way, she looks great. It all looks great. They're gonna battle for the heart of New York, and I can't wait to see it.
There are rumors about who she's playing, but I don't really like to delve into that stuff. I like to kind of come up with my own theories about things, or have us kind of back and forth it. But I don't really like to read other people's rumors. Moving on. I don't know how to feel about this. They released the first teaser trailer for Ready Player One, and it's just like a major like WB like jerk off fest. It looks good, don't get me wrong. Like, I friggin' love the book, and like I've been so hyped for this movie. Like, every little thing we get out of it. And like the trailer starts really strong, like showing the stacks. It looks ripped right out of the book. His van's a little bit big for my taste. It doesn't seem like it's cramped. He doesn't look right. He's supposed to be kind of like a chubby, like not very attractive kid. But, you know, Ty Sheridan's not the best looking guy in the world, but I thought they would like do something to him to make him look different in the real world. And then when it goes into the game world, he would look like himself, basically. But I guess they're not doing that. So I don't know what he's going to look like in the game because they didn't actually show him. But yeah, everything leading into like him putting on the helmet and getting inside of the Oasis looked perfect. Once it got inside, I was a little nervous, because like it looked nothing like what I pictured it, which I know isn't the end all be all, but it looked so like futuristic and like bright and colorful and just like weird. Like, I pictured something much more grounded, and like there are, you know, some of the planets and things that are, you know, more fantastical and things like that. And there's one shot with the DeLorean doing a spin around a fountain that looked like, okay, maybe that's like the school planet and that's going to look normal. But then there was a bunch of just like crazy like fantasy battles that looked entirely CG and stuff like that. And it made me kind of worried, especially with this like huge car chase scene that I don't remember in the book. And it looks like they're probably going to condense a lot of the stuff that happens in the movie down to like fast action scenes that are like, you know, thematically similar but totally different, like this racing scene, instead of actually having this like the things happen the way they do in the book. And everything in that book is so visual, like you can picture it while you read it, that like there's going to be really divisive opinions if they change anything, because I get they're not going to get all the properties. Like I said, it's very WB oriented. You know, there's things like the DeLorean. There was like a few DC characters kind of hinted at. There was like the Iron Giant, things like that. But they're not going to get all the stuff that's in the book. I know that. But that doesn't mean they'd have to like completely change the events that happen. That makes me a little nervous. But I want it to be good. Like, I think it'll subvert expectations, and I think this is basically just supposed to be like a sizzle reel of all the cool visuals in it, because it is just a teaser. It's not like showing the story or plot or anything like that. But I don't know, the way that these visuals look just make me wonder how different it's going to be than what, like, you know, the book presents and how most people visualized it, because I'm not the only one voicing this concern. But I have faith.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is Steven Spielberg directing this film, or is he just supervised?
Yes.
Okay. Here's why I have faith in the movie. Is that man?
I agree.
Steven and I had about a couple months ago, I had a 2-hour conversation with one of my best friends about Steven Spielberg and how he can do whatever he wants, and all of his movies great. No, but Man is probably one of the few directors who I can go and like, I know chances are this is not going to be a bad movie. So while I like the book. It was very cool. I don't have as much of a love fest as a lot of people do, but I really like the book. I met the author once because he lives in Austin. I'm interested. I just want to see it because it's a Steven Spielberg movie. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I'm gonna be watching this day
right.
one, even if like they release 3 more trailers and they all look like garbage.
Right.
I didn't like the Spider-Man Homecoming trailers either, and that movie impressed me. So like, trailers don't always look the way a movie does.
Right.
But the fact that they're, I think, doing just one movie out of this, like, there's so much stuff they could put in there. They could easily do like a Harry Potter situation where they split. Well, granted, that's 6, 7 books, 8 movies. For those who don't know the book, like there's essentially 3 acts to it, with like 3. He gets 3 keys and has to open 3 doors to do different trials, to kind of like get through like this game inside this world. And they could easily split this up into 3 movies, where essentially the first is, set up and end with like the first trial. And then, second is from then on to the second trial, and so on. The end is obviously the end of the movie. And I'm really worried that even like a 2.5-hour movie, trying to condense all of that down, it's not going to work. That's the only thing that worries me. Like, even Steven Spielberg, with all of his knowledge and everything, like, they're going to end up cutting stuff. And I hope it's not, like, anything, substantial, or, like, making weird changes just to make things move faster, or whatever. I can see some things having to change. Like, one of the trials is literally reliving a movie and having to, like, say things the same way the actor in the movie does. And you can't really do that in this medium. But there's ways to do that right, and there's ways to just like completely ignore that it's in there and do something entirely different. So I'm not sure how it's going to work. And things that I'm also hopeful for: Stranger Things Season 2 trailer. This has a really nice adaptation of Thriller, for one. Just, kind of a random standalone thing. But this is another thing that, like, I wasn't necessarily sure it needed a season 2. I thought it could have been, like, an anthology series where, each season is, like, a totally new thing. But the stuff they're setting up here with Will and, like, the connection to the Upside Down looks really cool. And I want to hope the best for this. Because, like, for one, Will's actually looks like he's the main character this time. Because he was supposed to be last season, and he literally had, like, nothing to do for, like, most of the episodes. But just the visuals in this, like, the way it almost has a Silent Hill quality, where it's, like, it just shifts from real world upside down and back, and it's, like, it's so jarring and spooky. It has a totally different feel from the first season. So, like, while it is a continuation of the story, it still feels almost like a totally different, like, thematically different anthology with the same characters.
I loved it. I love this trailer. I didn't realize, because I was playing it on my TV, I didn't hear the beginning parts of Thriller, and it didn't really connect with me till I heard Vincent Price speaking. I was like, oh shit, this is Thriller. I thought it looked great. That's whatever that thing is in the Upside Down, that whatever that monster thing is, it still has me like, oh my god, run away, please. It looks great. I can't wait for it. It's coming around the perfect time, the season of Halloween. Yeah, I completely agree with you about the whole Silent Hill, where especially when the sheriff is walking in the Upside Down, and it literally, the angle of the camera literally turns upside down with him. I don't remember what happened, because like the end of the trailer indicates that 11 was in the Upside Down. I don't remember how. Again, it was a year ago when the show came out, so I don't really remember. Did 11 end up in the Upside Down? I don't think so.
Yeah, she sacrificed herself. That's right. To like close the portal or whatever. Or like send the thing away. And then at the end, like, I think it was Will, or I don't remember who. Maybe the sheriff, like, left some waffles and a thing behind for her, kind of hinting like, I know you're still out there.
Right. Again, that was a year ago when I watched it, so forgive me if I don't remember. But so I was like, it took me a while, like, was 11 in there this entire time? Because I remember the one thing that stuck with me most at the end of season 1 was Will flash back into the Upside Down, realizing that, okay, he's still dealing with ramifications.
When he, like, coughed up that thing into the sink.
Yeah. I will hope that despite that, it's going to be... One thing I really liked about Stranger Things Season 1 is the Stephen King feel to it, because it really felt like a Stephen King novel, or an adaptation of like a Stephen King novel from the mid 80s. I really hope it keeps that feeling, Because obviously this is going to be a little bit bigger in scale because they're dealing with a bigger monster. The Upside Down's probably going to be bigger than what they got in the first season. But I really hope it has still that creepy, unsettling feeling of being in the middle of America and weird shit can happen. That's what I'm hoping for, honestly. But,
yeah.
God, that...
And you mentioned the big monster. Like, I really like the moment where, like, you know, Will is suddenly flashed into the Upside Down. And then he sees this big thing, like, you know, a flash of lightning hits, it illuminates the monster, and then it's like, what I assume is its head turns to face Will. So, like, it knows. Like, it has a connection somehow.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly what this is.
And its head is really long. It's like, what the fuck are you? What? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It looks...
This is going to be, like, one of those monster movies that, like, or the... movie monsters that like goes down in history, and it's not even a movie.
Yeah, exactly. God, do we know how many episodes? Because I really hope it's 8, like the first one. Because I think that's what made the first season so good. Because it was just 8 solid episodes, versus being.
It's 8 or 10. I don't remember.
If it's 10, that's fine.
I want to say it's still 8.
Okay, I hope it's just 8 because 8 was perfect number for me for that show. I love, but yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. Controversial opinion. I hope Barb stays dead because she didn't do anything. I don't understand any emotional. Huh?
She will.
Okay, because like I'm sorry, but fight me IRL. But I don't understand the people's fascination with Barb because she did nothing. She played the friend, and she died. That was her role. She did nothing. I don't understand why people feel sorry for her. I don't get it. I don't get it.
It was probably one like lonely high school girl that's like always the best friend and never gets the guy and just like related to Barb so hard and like somehow, you know, had enough of a following that like she got a tweet out there and then everyone picked it up and suddenly Barb became like the character.
Yeah, it's like and
but,
again,
no, it's
just like she's and I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna sound very mean, but I hope she stays dead because I'm not gonna lie, I get it, but that character, that archetype of that character has been around for years, decades.
Yeah.
So it's like
I agree.
Like calm down, internet, about Barb. She didn't do anything. Like I can understand having like I was more invested in Will and he didn't do anything, but because of how the series ended, like it made me care. Barb just died.
Right. Yeah, she served a purpose of like introducing, you know, people to the fact that there's something going on. That was all. But I guess it was kind of funny, like at the Stranger Things panel, they opened it up to a Q&A, and the first person in line, which I assume was a plant, was the actress that plays Barb. And she just like asked you a question about like, you know, will we see Barb again? And they just go, no. And like shut her down. And then like, you know, they're like, next question.
We are not taking Barb questions.
Yeah. So I'm sure that was a setup thing, but it was still kind of funny. It's like they're acknowledging like people love Barb, but no, she's gone. Deal with it.
Yeah, she died. She get over it. She died.
Yeah, and I think that actress is on Riverdale now, playing a very similar character.
She's not Barb, Zero. She's not Barb.
No, I'm just saying like she's probably not able to do it again, even if they did keep her alive somehow. Because they said they're gonna deal with like the fallout of her death. Because, like, all of the stuff in season 1 happened so quickly. I think that was the problem that people were having. It was like, you know, no one even talked about her after she died. Like, she was just gone. Like, her family didn't care or anything. But, like, all of that stuff happened within the span of, like, 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, and we were kind of focusing on an extra-dimensional demon who was ripping through walls. I think that takes precedent over a minor character who did nothing.
And plus, like, this was before there were cell phones and internet and stuff where everyone constantly kept tabs on each other.
Right.
Like, it was pretty normal for people to go a few days, you know, if you, like, go stay at a friend's house or whatever. Like, if it's over the weekend or something, like, yeah, sure, you might not see them. I would go to a friend's house for 2 or 3 days at a time over the summer. My mom didn't care. She's like, you know, just give me a call when you need to be picked up. No one ever thought I was dead, I don't think. So, like, now, you know, season 2 picking up, like, a few months later, I think, they're going to actually be addressing that. So, get over it, Barb lovers. But, moving on, again, we got 2 more trailers, I think. Justice League put out... Dang it, I keep forgetting to mute the audio on these things. Justice League put out a new trailer, and it looks substantially better. Like, you can tell that they've done some major color grading on this since before. I don't know if it's because of Joss Whedon, or if they just like realized that there was problems. But like a lot more scenes that they show off in the trailer, at least, take place in the light. There's a lot more focus on Wonder Woman, and like even the dark scenes, like the stuff that would have just been grimdark. Now there's like a lot more like street lights that cast a unique color over everything, and even like the logos and things have like flashes of color in the background. It's like, look, we can be colorful. We know what we're doing now. And like just the straight up dark scenes have like just a lighter hue to them. Everything's not cast in shadow. And it's a drastic improvement. Like, it makes all the difference. Even though the trailer itself doesn't look like majorly better, there's some fun stuff in there. I still don't think the Flash is a very good character in this. His jokes are just kind of awkward.
You didn't like that?
I did kind of enjoy the battle one.
Oh.
Is that what you were talking about?
No, I was talking about the end where they disappear and he's with Commissioner Gordon. And it's like, that's rude.
See, I didn't like that.
I love that. It's like
it's so awkward. Like, yeah, he's the Flash. It's a joke that, like, even though, you know, he has speed, he's always late. But, like, how does everyone else get away without him noticing?
That's the joke, because that's such a trope.
But it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't, because, like, that's the joke, is that Batman would just disappear when Gordon would turn around, and they all do it. That's the joke. It's not necessarily about the Flash. It's just more like, oh, they just disappear.
I know. Like, it feels like a joke for joke's sake. You know what I mean? Like, it's not something that seems, like, logical in a situation. It's just like, hey, this is a joke we can make.
Well, it's a wink at stupid Batman trope. That's what it was, and that's why I loved it. And I loved it. I even loved it more because it was the Flash. And like, well, that was rude. And then because he would have been the first one to leave, but he sticks around. I loved that.
I get it. I just don't think it's very good as far as a character beat goes. But I do like the joke about, like, you know, you all want to battle. I don't know how to battle.
I just push people away.
That's pretty fun.
It was great.
Yeah.
I didn't like Cyborg's voice.
But in general, I don't like his characterization. He rubs me wrong. I don't know. And Cyborg still has terrible CG. I thought they would improve that by now, but like anytime he moves his mouth, it's like, okay, clearly his mouth is not real. It looks like when they age grade people, like, you know, age them down or whatever, and it's like the lip movements look like they just kind of digitally like recreated the mouth after the fact. It's not good. But again, it's more colorful. The action looks really good. The characters have better beats. It's impressive. Like, there's clear change happening here just between the two trailers, and it's gotten me genuinely curious.
I love that Aquaman, Jason Momoa, is having the time of his life as Aquaman. Like, he just seems like a dude who's just like ready to party.
Yeah.
Which is not like Arthur Curry at all in the comic books, but I don't care, because I'll say this right now: Jason Momoa is gonna be the breakout star of this movie, similar to how Wonder Woman was the everything people wanted to talk about after BVS. I feel like after Justice League, they're gonna count down their calendars to Aquaman in 2018. Yeah, I even like, again, like you said, like seeing the red, even though it was a dark red, the fact that it was red made everything look so much better, you know.
Yeah.
And I love how we never saw the villain's face. I know who it is because I know the comics, but I love how we never get to see what he looks like. We only hear his voiceover. I want to ask you a theory, though.
Yeah. You see enough of him, but what?
Who do you think Alfred is talking to at the end?
That's what I was about to ask you.
Oh.
The two prevailing theories, which I think, honestly, in this case, I think it's only one character, but I do think both characters in this theory show up in the movie. But the two prevailing theories are that it's either Green Lantern or Superman. In this case, I think it's Superman. One, because they show, like, there's been people that have analyzed the trailer really crazy, but you can kind of see a shoulder in the corner, and it vaguely looks red. So they're like, oh, well, obviously it's his cape. I think it's too blurred to really tell, like, what color it actually is. It could just be, you know, a darkened shoulder of anyone, really. So it could be Green Lantern. But the fact that Alfred says, like, he told me you'd be here, you'd come here, makes me think it's Superman. But the villain, I guess I won't say his name since you said that, you know, we don't know who it is technically.
Well, I mean, you didn't say it. I mean, like, they never showed his face, but I don't know, like, he's I don't know if that's big of a deal if we say, because press releases have released his name. So it's like...
That's true. Steppenwolf has said that, like, his voiceover says, like, you know, he's listing the reasons that he'll win, and he says no lanterns.
Yeah, and so there's no Green Lanterns in Sector 2814.
Yeah. So that makes me think that maybe, like, they did reach out to a lantern, and that, you know, he's come in, like, at the third act to help save the day, because, like, obviously Steppenwolf has an issue with lanterns. If you would specifically mention, like, you have no lanterns to save you, then of course they're going to bring in a lantern to save them.
Right, well, I mean, and also Green Lanterns are the peacekeeping force of the universe. So, I think it's Green Lantern. Because there's, and this is complete bullshit, I realize, but if you look at the trailer, if you look at Alfred's glasses, there's a slight green hue in the lens. Now, some people said, and like even in the trailer, like during like a very 3-second clip, there's a like an airplane flying. You can see a green light, like you can see a bright green light, and you could say that's part of underneath the ship, but it's like that looks like it would be Green Lantern to me. And I don't think it's Hal or Kyle or Guy or John. I think it's because we're gonna get a Green Lantern movie like in 2020. I think this is gonna be Abin Sur, the Green Lantern who dies and passes on the ring to Hal Jordan. I think that's...
Yeah, I could see that. Because then they wouldn't have to actually cast any of the main lanterns yet.
Right.
But they could still have Green Lantern representation. Because Abin Sur would probably be all CG anyway.
Exactly. Because he was in the Green Lantern 2011 movie as an actor, but you can just do a CGI character and voice him up. It would be kind of weird to see, you know, Abin Sur fighting on Justice League, considering he dies. That's pretty much his only purpose in Green Lantern mythos. But I think
if he dies in that battle, and then the end tag is like, you know, you see someone coming across his ring or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they come across the rubble and like kind of brushes it away and like picks up the ring. They don't even have to show the actor again.
Well,
it's just like someone picks up the ring.
It would... Well, I'm sorry, Zero. It would actually be the Green Lantern ring would fly away and then find Hal Jordan or Guy Gardner, and it would say you have the ability to overcome great fear. Nobody would just find the ring unless they go with Kyle Rayner and then he finds the ring, which I hope they don't do that.
Whatever. I am hesitant about that green glare theory because I do see that like here right now. But I guarantee that if they're doing the suit like that, it would probably be a CG suit again.
Maybe brighter.
And what?
Well, I was saying this, like, you would be a more obvious green glow if it was Green Lantern.
Oh, no. I'm saying it would be a CG suit.
Right.
So, like, in the actual scene, there would be no green reflected off the lenses. Because they're not going to, like, digitally print the suit into his glasses. You know what I mean? Like, that's too minute of a detail.
That is true.
They would just have it not reflect anything. Like, they would get rid of a reflection in the glasses, if anything.
Well, there also is another prevailing theory. It could be a new god, considering the Steppenwolf is an emissary of Darkseid. I doubt it's a new god, but that's a third possibility that we haven't played into. Because they said that the shoulder was red, right?
Yeah.
That could be... I mean, this is stretching out, and I doubt it is, so consider this out of left field. But it could be Orion, who's the son of Darkseid, who is raised by Highfather, which is basically the opposing force of Darkseid. So it could be that. But I think it's Superman, though.
Yeah, there's two reasons I don't think that, and one is because like it seems like it's a hero because of someone coming in, you know, just like talking to Alfred, like, oh hey, you know, like I'm here. And two, I feel like it wouldn't have been a big moment as an end tag unless it was someone that we're kind of expecting.
Right.
And with the whole Unite the Seven thing, and like they've shown like a Green Lantern in, you know, the promotional images, not necessarily for Justice League, but for the DCEU, because we know that movie is coming next, or I think in the next few years.
2020.
So they're going to start doing setup for it, if not now, then in the next Justice League. So I see both Green Lantern and Superman being in this movie. As far as this little tag goes, it's probably Superman because we already know Superman exists. So if you're going to speculate about something, it's probably a character that we're expecting to see because he's been in the posters and everything. Green Lantern hasn't been in any promotional. I almost guarantee he's going to show up, but there is no guarantee of that. There is a guarantee that Superman's going to show up. At some point. So that's why I think, like, as far as the trailer goes, it has to be Superman, just based on the information we've been given. But I don't know. Doesn't really matter that much. Considering we've spent like 10 minutes on it, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, Justice League looks pretty good. And finally, the last trailer we have to show, Thor Ragnarok, which actually looks fantastic. Like, everything about this trailer is so much more impressive than anything I've seen from Thor before. It has, like, really good humor. It has amazing visuals. Like, what looks like solid action. Great character moments, just, like, you know, on an emotional level. A lot of really cool, like, world-building type stuff. Like, the whole thing with Hulk not wanting to transition back into Bruce Banner and, like, actually learning how to speak and stuff. I guess he has, like, the speech patterns of, like, a 2-year-old, but still, he is learning. Like, he's getting smarter. So they could be setting some cool stuff up there. The, like, Hela looks hella good, if you will. They have Valkyrie, who also looks fantastic. Yeah, like, everything about this movie looks great. And I never thought I would say that about a Thor movie. Like, this is a day one watch. Like, I've yet to see a Thor movie in theaters, but I couldn't be more excited about this one. And Karl Urban looks so good, too. I love Karl Urban.
This is as a speaking from a person who grew up, who's read the comic books, like, I am seeing the creations of Jack Kirby and Walt Simonson come to life. I will tell you, it's been so long since I've screamed that loud at the end of a trailer that it showed, because the character they showed at the end of the trailer is his name is, I'm going to tell you who his name is. His name is Surtur. He's the fire god, fire demon from the hell of Asgard, of the 9 worlds. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but he's part of Ragnarok. He has one of the coolest introductions in comics. I can't speak it. You just got to read it. That alone sold me. Hulk jumping at him, and one, you look at the scale. Hulk's a pretty big guy, right? He was as big as that dude's face. His face. So that's what sold me. Like, and of course the amazing visuals and the banter between Hulk and Banner and Hulk and Thor, and just the crazy visuals of, I think, of the planet that they're imprisoned on. Like, oh my god! I've seen the previous Thor 3 movies, and I like the previous Thor movies. But this just looks like it's on a whole nother level. And Karl Urban as the executioner looks great. One of the things I was concerned about was that Hela, portrayed by Cate Blanchett, wouldn't have the helmet. No, she full on rocks that helmet, and I love that she has that ridiculous.
They briefly showed it in the last trailer, but
right.
She's rocking it for, like, most of the time, it looks like.
Right, and that was my concern, was that, oh, okay, she's only going to have it in flashbacks or whatever. No, she's full-on rocking that Jack Kirby helmet design, and I love it. I love that she's rocking it. And I love that she refers to herself as the goddess of death, because Marvel was like, they're not gods. No, they are gods. And, you know, that stinger of Thor controlling the lightning, calling back to Age of Ultron, that made that movie really terrible. So there's that. I can't wait, man. I can't. That again, I was already happy, but when they ended with Hulk jumping into Surtur's face, ready to throw haymakers, I was like, okay, let's go. I'm ready. I want to see this. Oh my god, I started crying because I was seeing something in a comic book brought to, like, we've been doing this for 17 years, but never before have I seen something so beautifully visually brought to the screen, and I'm going to see it in, what is it, July, August, September, October, November, 4 months, and it's going to be a reality. I'm sorry, like, I know I sound over enthusiastic for this, but that's a huge deal. Like, if you want to educate yourself, go read Walt Simonson Thor by Walt Simonson. That's where a lot of this stuff is coming from. There's some Planet Hulk stuff there too, and I understand why they're doing it. But a lot of what has me excited is from Walt Simonson's run on Thor in the 80s. And to give you context, by comic fans, that is considered the Thor run, the greatest Thor series of Thor stories over the span of years that anybody's ever done. So I encourage anybody to read that. That's why I'm excited, because I've read it and I know what potentially could be brought to the screen. But I can't be more excited for this movie. I can't. It's impossible.
Yeah.
I will say this. I don't want to see any more trailers for this movie. I will not discuss any more trailers for this movie. They've shown me enough. I still don't. I know that I have the idea of the story now. Some cool visuals. I don't want to see anything else. Nothing.
I think at this point we'll probably just get like small TV spots and stuff, but I won't watch any of them. I'm at Spider-Man Homecoming point now. It's like I've gotten the tastes I need. I've gotten enough of the what's happening. Like I understand. I want this movie, and that's good. I'm fine. The point of a trailer is to sell people, and I'm sold. I actually had to double check the release date just now because I'm getting married November 11th, and I was like, crap. Does this come out that weekend? But no, it's the weekend before, so we're good. I was worried I wasn't going to get to see it, when it opens. But, I mean, not that that's not more important, but...
Luckily, Brooke
Marvel
doesn't listen.
Also. No, funny little anecdote real quick before we move on. We had Chris and Jake on last week, and they made our theme song for this podcast. And I mentioned that to her. I was like, "Oh yeah, we had the people. Like you don't know who they are. They're not ones that I've talked to you about. But they made the theme song for the podcast." And she's like, "Oh, I didn't know you had a theme song." And I was like, "Well, you would if you'd listen." And she's like, "Touche." It was just really funny to me. But yeah, back to Thor. It looks great. I've never been excited about a Thor movie, but I am about this one. And yeah, I really it's weird. Like we're living in the post Doctor Strange world, and I feel like now anything is possible in the Marvel universe. Guardians of the Galaxy kind of touched on some of that, but then we got Doctor Strange that ended with Dormammu, and then we get Guardians of the Galaxy 2 with Ego the Living Planet, and now it's just like whatever. If cosmic, like crazy, like gods. All of it's possible.
When they meet the physical embodiment of the universe known as eternity, that's when I'll shit my pants in the theater, officially. Because that is a thing in the Marvel Universe. There's a physical embodiment of our universe that exists as a character. I'm not shitting you.
Probably not going to happen anytime soon, because we've got the Thanos stuff in the next Avengers.
Right.
And Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I think is going to be about Adam Warlock.
Yes.
So, and the other Guardians team. So yeah, it'll probably be a little
we've
while,
already seen it. Celestials in Guardians of the Galaxy 1, so literally anything is possible.
True. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy that we live in this world where things like this can happen. But speaking of Avengers Infinity War, they released 3 posters at Comic-Con that show off all the as far as I know, all of the characters that are going to be in that movie, at least all the main characters. And I want to say it's just concept art. I don't think these are the actual people. It's just drawings. But there's some interesting things on here for sure. It's got Teenage Groot, which I find interesting and kind of funny. We've got Thor with his beard and short hair still. Loki, Drax in full rage mode. Star-Lord, Rocket, and then Vision and Scarlet Witch hugging up on each other.
Oh hell yes! Give me some of that synthesoid woman love and action that the comics have been doing for 50 years. Give it to me.
Well, I have a feeling they're using this because obviously he has one of the Infinity Stones in him, so she's probably going to spend a lot of the movie protecting him.
I want them to
because
kiss.
It was funny. I was listening to something. I don't remember what it was. Some podcast that I listened to. And they said, this set of posters is kind of dark because you can literally see Vision die, across this poster. It's you see the stone in his forehead, and then you also see the stone and the Infinity Gauntlet. So it's what's going to happen to Vision? Because that stone has to go from his forehead to the gauntlet.
He's going to get ripped
out,
So I
thought that was kind of a funny thing. Yeah, then we've got at the bottom of the left side, we've got Falcon, Captain America, and Black Widow. Captain America rocking this hair, by the way. He's full-on beard and, like, really nice locks. And then Black Widow's, like, full-on white hair, which is strange. But they have the team split up between the left side and the right side with Thanos and his people, like the ones we talked about last week, in the middle. And I have a feeling this is basically like the continuation of Civil War, where it's like a fight on two fronts. So, like, Cap and his team, which obviously includes Falcon and Black Widow, and then there's, Scarlet Witch and Vision, which I find interesting because in Homecoming, Tony Stark said that Vision was in one of the rooms with him, like at the new headquarters. So I'm not sure how he switches sides. And then the Guardians and Thor, all on Cap's side. And then on the other side, we've got Hulk, which again, interesting that him and Thor would be on different sides. Hawkeye, Winter Soldier, Rhodey, Black Panther, Spider-Man in a new suit, Doctor Strange, Mantis, Gamora, and Nebula on Tony Stark's side. Which again is interesting because then the Guardians are split up. I don't see how the Hulk would be on that side. And you'd think Winter Soldier would be with Cap. So, like, this all could just be speculation and they split it up like this because, it was 3 separate posters. But I feel like they picked the people on each side for a reason. And the fact that, one side is prominently Cap and the other side is prominently Tony Stark makes me think that it's actually a split up of 2 different teams. Because one side's very much more cosmic. Of course, the Guardians are split, but, you've got, like, Vision and Thor and the rest of the Guardians and Loki. Like, those are all cosmic characters. And then, like, Falcon can fly. I'm sure they could figure out a way to have him be, up on the aerial team or whatever. But then, yeah, I don't know. I'm totally, like, speculating, just wildly. But I just find it interesting that it's split like that. And then, of course, you've got Thanos in the middle. I actually like his look. Some people have been complaining he doesn't have his helmet. But I picture that like a crown. So, he'd have it when he's on his throne, but when he's just, like, out in the wild, he's not going to have that, like, that crown on him at all times. But the gauntlet looks really cool. He's very prominent. And, yeah, this is a really cool little concept teaser.
Now release the trailer
that they released.
Release the trailer!
Someday, hopefully.
I'm still hoping that my stinger for the end of Infinity War Part 1 is... Because I still don't believe he'll have all the Infinity Stones by the time the movie starts. I don't believe that.
No.
I believe he'll get them at the end of the movie, and I don't know if it'll happen. But if this is spoilers for Infinity Gauntlet, the comic book, about one or two chapters, and I can't remember exactly which it is, he snaps his fingers and he kills half the universe. Like that. Like, literally.
I see that happening, because I really do think that, like, before he gets the Time Stone, that Doctor Strange is going to use it. Like, everyone's going to die. Like, they're going to have that visual, like, probably halfway through the movie of, what they had in Age of Ultron, where Tony's, like, looking at everyone around him and they're all dead. And, like, Doctor Strange is, like, dying, and he, like, uses his, like, last breath or whatever to, like, do his whole thing with the Eye of Agamotto and, like, turn time back, and go, like, all the way back through, like, the entire cinematic universe. We get this quick flash of, like, boom, 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 movie. And, like, they go back and, like, pretty much to the beginning. They could even possibly work Captain Marvel into this, because she's not on this poster, and that bothers me. But they could possibly work Captain Marvel into this, where, like, they go back too far into the 90s and, like, see her real quick, because we'll get to that in a second. And then, fast forward again, gather the team all together at a different point in their lives, and then they take on Thanos before he's even gotten any of the Infinity Stones. Like, at an earlier part, like, back during the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that. Because there was a little bitty thing that everyone was speculating about, of an on-set thing where RDJ was on set with, like, a cutout in his shirt, like where the arc reactor would go. But obviously he got rid of that in Iron Man 3, so, like, why would he have that cutout? And they're thinking, oh, maybe it's a flashback. So I see something happening with time before Thanos gets the time gem. And of course, Vision is in the movie, so obviously he doesn't start with the, what is that, Soul Gem?
Yeah.
But I see a situation where by the end of the movie he has all of them.
Yeah. And again, I wasn't even talking about the Avengers, but more so that like he doesn't kill them, because in Infinity Gauntlet when it's that first confrontation, he kind of just swats them like flies. Like he doesn't really, he toys with them because he knows he could beat them. He knows he could easily destroy them with the Infinity Gauntlet. And then at the end I really want the movie to end this way. He steps on his balcony or wherever he's at, because they described it as a planet, and he just snaps his fingers and it flashes to various worlds we've seen or Earth, and it's just people disappearing. And that's your indication that they're dying, because it's a Disney movie, and even in the comic book, people just disappear. Well-known superheroes just disappear. And he basically kills half the universe just by snapping his fingers. That's how powerful the gauntlet is.
I don't see that being the end of the movie. They're going to have some kind of small victory.
They have to.
A few quick notes here to finish off with. In a surprise announcement, there was a whole thing like before Marvel's panel, they were advertising Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like all over, they had a huge poster that showed off the Wasp costume. I think we talked about that already. It was supposed to be a big deal at their panel. So they didn't show a new trailer or anything like that. I guess they showed that same concept of the Wasp armor. I think they actually did have a little bit of like still in production, just like scenes, very limited special effects and stuff like that. I think they had a little bit of that for the audience, but it hasn't been released or anything. But their big thing was they just kind of like unceremoniously brought out Michelle Pfeiffer along with Evangeline Lilly. They were just like coming out talking to each other.
Meow.
And I think there's some joke about the Catwoman suit actually. And it was revealed at like when they both got out there that Michelle Pfeiffer was going to be playing Janet Van Dyne, who was the original Wasp and the mother to Evangeline Lilly. So this is kind of amazing because either they're going to find her because there was that whole thing in the first one where like she was lost in the whatever that was called, the microscopic world or whatever. So they just assumed she was dead. Or there's going to be a much bigger flashback focus in this one because the first one had a little bit, but yeah, like they're not going to waste Michelle Pfeiffer in like a cameo or anything. Like she's going to be a part of the movie. And I think the fact that it's called Ant-Man and Wasp isn't necessarily specifying that it's going to be, predominantly like Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly. I think it could potentially be like a back and forth, like, flashback and present, kind of like like an Arrow episode where it's like things happening in the present are kind of also happening in the past. And so there's like a dichotomy there and they keep going back and forth. They could have something where it's like, the aged down Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Douglas doing a thing that kind of corresponds to what Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly are doing in the present. But I think it's more likely they'll just get her back from that world because they're going to want to use Michelle Pfeiffer again in the future. But that's pretty big news, and she's actually perfect for that. It's really cool to see. But yeah, a trip to the quantum realm. That's what it's called.
Did you mention Morpheus is going to be in the movie?
No, I forgot about that actually.
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne's playing Bill Foster, aka the second Giant Man, which I love.
Oh, okay. And it's Fishburne, by the way. Lawrence Fishburne.
No. I've always pronounced it Born because it's spelled Bourne, so I thought it was Born.
I thought you said Fishman.
No, I said Lawrence Fishburne. Like
I think you said Fishman.
No. I mean, I have a bad habit of talking really fast, so I eat my own words. So that's probably what happened. But no, yeah, like Lawrence Fishburne is in it. See, now I'm pronouncing it right now. And I just hope he doesn't fight a robotic version of Thor and then dies, because that would be awful.
Is that something that could happen?
Well, I mean, it happened in the original Civil War comic. Bill Foster, they're at a fight, and Bill Foster takes a lightning shot through a clone that Iron Man had made out of Thor's DNA. Mm-hmm.
Ah,
That whole thing with in the movie with Rhodey, that I'm pretty sure that was a reference to Bill Foster in the comics of something tragic happening. So yeah,
that makes sense.
So, hopefully we get to see Lawrence Fishburne become Giant Man. That would be really cool.
I would imagine so. I mean, why else would he be in it? But they did also, I think before this, they announced that Walton Goggins had joined the cast, but they confirmed that he's the villain, or a villain, I guess, technically. They didn't say who it was, but he is a strong actor, and he's going to bring a lot to that movie. But I just don't have anything else to say because they haven't said who he is. They haven't really even said the story, aside from it just being, about the two of them teaming up to do something. So I was actually trying to read through this article to see if there was any other information about the actual story, but there's not.
Comes out next year, doesn't it?
Which is weird because it comes out in like April of next year or something like that. Like not super far away. Moving on to the last little Marvel story here. They released some information about Captain Marvel, like a brief amount. They also showed the suit, but it was poorly captured by someone in the audience and put on Twitter, and I couldn't really tell anything about it, so I didn't use that or anything. But Captain Marvel will not be in present day. Apparently it's going to take place in the 1990s, and co-star Samuel L. Jackson with 2 eyes, as in before Nick Fury lost an eye. The idea behind this is that in the first Iron Man, Nick Fury made a comment about, you think you're the only superhero in the world. You're about to become a part of a bigger universe. You just don't know it yet. And so this is supposed to be, I think, that first one, which, to be fair, they already implied that Captain America obviously was the first. And when they brought him into modern times, that was Nick Fury knew about him before Iron Man, I think was the idea there. So that was kind of already tied up. But the idea here is that Captain Marvel has been around since the 90s. And her and Nick Fury had kind of a past. And then I assume she probably just was in hiding or something. I don't know. That's the weird part to me, is how they're going to explain her not being around for any of the Avengers stuff.
Time stone. She has time stone. She gets transported. Yeah.
But Doctor Strange has a time stone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, which one do we?
Jeez.
We don't have the reality one, right?
I think all of them are accounted for.
No, I think we're missing one. We have to be missing one.
Because there's one allegedly in Heimdall's eye.
What?
There's one in Vision's head.
What's the one in Heimdall's eye?
I don't remember. But that's supposed to be the whole thing in Ragnarok.
Huh. Because I know Thor had that Venom, that Carnage Red stuff. That was one. And
Soulstone? No,
the Soul Stone's Vision. Huh?
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know. Maybe she's in deep space. Because if you don't know, Carol Danvers, who's going to be Captain Marvel, she's not the first Captain Marvel. There's the character who is at least before she took over the mantle about 5 years ago. It was a character by the name of Mar-Vell. Yes, I know that sounds stupid, but that's what his name was, Mar-Vell. He was of the Kree Empire, and he basically, I can't remember. He's connected to Carol's origin in how she gets her powers. Carol is basically half Kree. She's a half Kree, half human. She's not an Inhuman because she wasn't experimented on, but she had her abilities transferred to some shenanigans like that. So I wonder if they're gonna do that, where he gets introduced and he dies, and then he gets her power. She gets her powers that way. I love the suit though.
Yeah. So quick update on the stone situation. I did look it up real quick, and the Space Stone is the Tesseract.
Okay. Yeah.
In safekeeping in Asgard. The Reality Stone is the Aether from Thor: The Dark World, which I could understand forgetting about because that movie was garbage. But supposedly the Collector has it. Although, when his whole collection was blown up in Guardians of the Galaxy, who knows where it went after that. But that would still be after Captain Marvel. But again, that's in the 90s, so they can kind of do whatever they want. The Power Stone is the Orb, also from Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's safe with the Nova Corps. The Mind Stone was formerly Loki's scepter, but is currently the one in Vision's forehead. Time Stone is the Eye of Agamotto, currently still in the eye. And then the Soul Stone is the one that's up in the air and is presumed to be in Heimdall's eye.
Where is that coming from? I don't understand that at all. That's so weird.
Let me move on. It is actually canon in canon in the way that, you can fit Marvel into things.
Right.
In Norse mythology, Odin gives him his sight, Heimdall's sight. Heimdall's eyes are orange, which is the same color as the Soul Stone. In Thor: The Dark World, he is quoted saying he can see all the souls in the 9 realms. And in Thor's vision in Age of Ultron, Heimdall is blind, so Thanos could have taken the stone from his eyes.
Ugh.
Leading to, the whole thing of like, the vision I saw before I went blind was, the end of the world. Because that would be the last stone that he would need. Therefore, he has them all at that point, and, the world is over or whatever. But the theory that kind of holds that up in Ragnarok is Heimdall's in the movie, obviously. And you can see him in a battle on what is that place called? Asgard. And so theoretically, Hela could take the stone from him, like rip it out of his eyes, basically, kill Heimdall. Because when she does kind of change and like get that big headdress thing, her body glows orange. And the explosion she sends across Asgard is orange. So the theory is she gets the Soul Stone and basically uses it to wipe out the souls of Asgard. And then Thanos probably gets it from her. So yeah, theoretically, the Soul Stone is currently Heimdall's eyes. And all the others are already accounted for. So there's that. But anyway, back to Captain Marvel. Yeah, so it'll be basically a buddy movie between Captain Marvel and Nick Fury. That's about all we do know about it right now. But that is interesting. Because we haven't seen Nick Fury since Age of Ultron. Right?
Yeah, that was because I'm looking at my shelf. He wasn't in Ant-Man. He, oddly enough, wasn't in Civil War 2. You'd think he would have made some kind of appearance there. He definitely wasn't in Doctor Strange or Guardians of the Galaxy, so, holy crap.
Yeah, so it'd be nice to see him again. And, it kind of fits with, a character that a lot of people probably don't know. Sure, people love Brie Larson, and they'll watch it just for her, but they don't necessarily know this character, and so it helps to have, kind of a person in the movie that you can actually relate to. So by putting Nick Fury in there, it's kind of like the Spider-Man Homecoming situation where it's like Spider-Man wasn't working in other movies. So by putting Iron Man in there, it's like, okay, now we have something we can market this movie around. Something that makes it different. With Captain Marvel, they can market the movie around Nick Fury. So it's like, oh, I know who that is. I'll go watch that movie for him. And then you learn about Captain Marvel. I just don't really know why they're doing the 90s. That's kind of strange.
Something's.
It could be like they could do some creation of S.H.I.E.L.D. and, well, very early creation of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because obviously in, the early movies, Coulson was talking about how they didn't have a name for it or anything.
That beginning flashback, they were already a thing. And that was 91, 92, I think. So they...
Yeah, and they'll probably tie into that too, actually. That'd be fun. But I mean, they've been around for a while because it was even in Agent Carter. There was the thing before S.H.I.E.L.D. became a thing, basically. So it wasn't S.H.I.E.L.D. yet, but it was that organization that would go on to become S.H.I.E.L.D.
I'm pretty sure S.H.I.E.L.D. would still be a presence. Again, because in Ant-Man they showed the Triskelion and everything, so it's and Haley Atwell's there, or Sharon. Yeah. Not Sharon Carter, Peggy Carter. So it's probably, again, it's before Nick Fury loses his eye, which is, we're probably going to see how he loses his eye. But because Captain Marvel's a cosmic character, some shenanigans she's going to get flung to the future. I can't help but think that she's going to get flung to the future.
Yeah, I can see it. Or she's just going to leave the Earth and then not know about anything that's happening. And so she wouldn't know until some big cosmic event happens, possibly the second Infinity War movie or whatever it's called. I always want to say the second Avengers, but it's not the second Avengers. then, you know, that brings her back. It's like some big cosmic scale thing. Like maybe at the end of the first one, it's like, you know, they do an after credits scene of like her finding out, if she's not in the movie, they do an after credits scene of her like finding out what's happening. Or like, you know, Nick Fury giving her a call on her space phone, you know, something like that. But I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. We actually got some information.
Yeah. They need it. They better find a good one, because then it's just gonna leave fans question. Well, why wasn't she there during the first Avengers attack? Why wasn't she there for Age of Ultron? So it has to be a thought-proof plan. Either time travel, like she gets thrown and she happens to get dumped at like Infinity War time, or she went into deep space. She went to be part of the Kree and was just cut herself off from Earth because of whatever happens in her own movie.
That was the other thing, is the Skrulls are actually going to be in this movie.
Which is, okay, can I speculate on this real quick, please? I forgot about that. Okay, so the fact that they're introducing Skrulls, I thought they were held by Fox, but I guess not. So it's like...
Super Skrull as a character is, but the Skrulls are shared.
You know what this means, right? That means they could play the game of anybody's a Skrull. Okay.
Yep.
There was an event that happened about 9 years ago, and it scares me that I'm saying that because it was 9 years ago. Called Secret Invasion. Basically, in an issue of New Avengers, this offshoot of the Avengers, these rogue team, were fighting the Han in Japan, and Hawkeye kills Elektra, and it's like that's normal, right? They fight Elektra, they kill her on accident or whatever. Then Elektra reverts into a Skrull, and they had no idea. They had no idea Skrull was among them, and it basically leads them to put my favorite build up to an event ever, where it's like, are you a Skrull? No, you're a Skrull. And it's just this paranoia. So it's like, if they do that well, where like they plant the seeds of like, is Iron Man a Skrull? Was Cap a Skrull? What about Nick Fury? Are you like, that's what I want, and that has me so excited of playing that game. Oh my god.
I mean, they kind of already did that with the LMD arc of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, but nobody watches that show. This is the movies we're talking about.
Check your privilege. It's a great show.
Yeah, if you have low standards. But like, this is the movies we're talking about. Like with like the big characters and like playing up like, again, like who do you trust, leading to like big Skrull confrontation or something. I don't know. It'd be great.
I hope Hawkeye's been a Skrull the whole time so they can kill him.
Such hate towards Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, doesn't feel very good, does it? You dick.
Hawkeye is a valued member to the Avengers.
Uh-huh. You keep telling yourself that. And I don't actually have it pulled up, apparently. But the one last thing I wanted to talk about briefly was the Flash movie. The DCEU Flash movie has officially been titled Flashpoint.
Weird.
Meaning it's going to be taking after the Flashpoint comic arc. And this is weird because it is essentially the first Flash movie of this universe. So not really anything established yet for them to, rewrite as far as like the Flash continuity is concerned. So it makes me think that they weren't always going to do it like this, because they had mentioned early on it was going to be like a Cyborg and Flash team up movie, something like that. I fully believe that with all the issue they've been having with Batman and all that stuff, and like some of the weird, continuity issues of like the super dark stuff, and now they're trying to lighten it up a little bit, and like Suicide Squad didn't do that well and things like that. I think they're basically just going to use Flashpoint, like the Flash movie, as a way to kind of soft reboot their universe. So they can keep Wonder Woman, they can keep Superman, probably obviously keep Flash because it's his movie, but they can kind of retool some things. So like, I honestly would love to see like the actual Flashpoint thing done right, like have Thomas Wayne as Batman, because in Batman v Superman, Thomas Wayne was played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who is amazing, and I'd love to see him as Batman, even if it's only for the one movie. And they could do some fun stuff, like bring back, Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa to do the whole Wonder Woman versus Aquaman battle and things like that. But I don't necessarily see them going that hard with it. It'll probably be a better adaptation than the Flash show did it, because they do have access to all these characters. It's kind of the point. But I see it basically being where like they do, kind of an alternate universe thing, introduce Flash, kind of do an origin for him, and then like jump to the Flashpoint stuff. And then at the end, it comes back to like what should be the regular universe, but things are slightly different. There's a different person playing Batman. There's, you know, like a different Joker. They're like the things that they've been trying to fix will suddenly be fixed. And then from then on, that'll be the new continuity. That's why I see them making this change. Not to make some big, ridiculous thing or to just like have fun with Flashpoint. Because like I said, as far as a first, like you wouldn't do Thor Ragnarok as your first Thor movie. You don't do Flashpoint as your first Flash movie. Unless you have like a reason you're wanting to like change things in the universe. So that's kind of my pitch there. You don't care?
I didn't like the Flashpoint as a story. I'd rather they just do him fighting Captain Cold.
I mean, I agree. But I'm just saying, like, I think that's why, like, they probably weren't even going to do the Flash movie anymore. But then they're like, no, we need to get Ben Affleck out of here. Nobody liked Jared Leto. What else, you know, what else can we fix? Like, maybe we can bring in, you know, a few new characters. Like, they could bring back Jason Todd or something. Like, have him be, you know, like, they're going to establish some stuff before then. Like, supposedly, there might be, like, a Robin or Nightwing type character brought into Justice League. Things like that. And they could always kind of have it be, like, you know, introduce that character in Justice League. And then in Flashpoint, have that be the Batman. And have him stay Batman. Whatever the case is. Or just have, you know, basically do Flashpoint where, like, Batman is dead, because that's how it is in that arc. Thomas Wayne is Batman. And then by the end of that movie, Thomas Wayne dies too, so there is no Batman. They just have Nightwing. Like, something dumb like that they could use to just kind of, like, change the little things, but keep everything else the same. But I still think it's a bad idea, because they could just make those changes. Like, sure, it's hard to just suddenly change your Batman out. This isn't like Iron Man to Iron Man 2, where you only had one movie as reference. But you could also just change your Batman out. You don't have to have a whole movie, like spend, you know, millions of dollars poured into this movie just to fix your Batman situation. Probably. So, I don't know. That's kind of weird, but it's worth noting. But yeah, I think that's it. Did I miss anything major?
Not by my watch.
Cool. Then let's call this a podcast, I'd say. Like I said, I know this is a little different. We just focused on Comic-Con stuff. Next week, we'll be back to business as usual with some heavier topics. We've kind of been pushing it off the last few weeks because of D23 and then Comic-Con and stuff like that. But we've got some stuff we want to talk about. Just wanted to give them, you know, the time we needed. But yeah, should be some good stuff.
I'm coming for you, millennials.
Yeah. Coming for you just like you've come for all our beer and toast and restaurants and
avocados.
Yeah, avocados. I like how I said that as if we aren't millennials. But
we aren't.
Yeah, we are.
We're old souls.
Technically.
I'm an old soul. I'm not a millennial.
You can be both. Whatever. But yeah, go ahead and plug your crap. Let's finish this up.
If you want to follow things concerning me, you can go to twitter.com/marvelousiggy and be part of the hashtag Marvelous Army. That's not a thing. Don't make that a hashtag. That was dumb. Just follow me on Twitter and, you know, talk. I promise. If I'm not talking about visual novels, I'm probably screaming about Spawn. It's okay. I'm friendly.
And sometimes wrestling, but I ignore it.
I don't tweet that much wrestling anymore.
Well, you and Thomas talk about wrestling.
Yeah, but not... Yeah, sometimes.
And I am your humble host, Justin, also known as Zero Score on all the places. As I mentioned before, Final Fantasy IX auditions are happening. Not a lot else is going on. Of course, you know, Final Fantasy VI is ongoing. But not really much else. I haven't had any time. Wedding planning is kind of crazy, and school and all that stuff.
Never get married, kids.
I mean, you can. Just, you know, do a better job at planning it than I am. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Follow me if you want. I haven't been that interesting lately, but I try. So there's that. But yeah, until next time, stay charged.